Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today you're going to be watching an interview with a Swedish melodic metal band under the name of Starchaser, who have just released their debut album on Frontier Records. Now, the interview was conducted by guitarist Kenneth Jonsson and also vocalist Ulrich Carlsson, so thank you guys for doing this interview. Also, thanks to everybody out there for watching this interview. So please share on Facebook, social media sites, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. So thanks for watching, Metalheads. Be safe. Enjoy the interview.
Oh,
Hello. Hi. Welcome to Friday 13th. How are you?
oops. Lost you. Yeah, all right.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you very much. So I'd like to say, like I was speaking to Ken, I'd just like to thank you to come into the Friday 13th YouTube channel. So first of all, I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions, both of you. As a guitarist, Kenny, what year did you start playing an instrument, and was guitar your first love?
Yeah, I think I was quite old when I started to play guitar, and I would think at the around 90, maybe 94, 1994, I think. And my dad was a guitarist, so he kind of introduced me to, guitar players, Steve Lukather and guys like that, Eddie Van Halen. And he was really a really good guitar player, so he inspired me a lot, and he taught me a few chords. So that's basically the way it went. So guitar was my first instrument.
Okay, what about you, Ulrich? Was you a vocalist to start off with, or did you learn to play piano? Because I know a lot of vocalists learn piano before vocals. Was you kind of the same sort of thing for you?
No, unfortunately not. I never learned the piano. I was a guitar player from the beginning, actually. Where I'm from, it's a little tiny place, and we didn't have that much musicians around. So, when you started, when I was like, I don't know, 14, 15 years old or something like that, I started with guitar because I thought that was cool. But all of a sudden we needed the bass player, so I had to change. So I started to play bass and did that for a lot of, I don't know, maybe 8 years or something, and did demos and stuff, and But all of a sudden it was like, no, we need a singer. You did some singing on some songs, so I had to change again, but. With some luck, I actually found my right instrument.
Okay.
So what I did was I actually back in it was like 25 years ago. I went to music school, the vocal school, to actually properly learn how to sing. So which was cool. So. Been doing it since.
Excellent. So, out of you two, which is the best guitarist for out of you two guys, Kenny or Ulrich?
Me, no, no, but I mean it's Kenneth, of course. But for me, it's good to know the instrument, because that's like I can use that when I write songs or demos. I don't do that much anymore, but so I don't have to either, because Kenneth's excellent doing that. So he's sending me all the stuff he's doing. So no
So,
problem
do
there.
you guys both live in Bollnäs, or do you live just outside of Bollnäs?
I live we're far from Bollnäs actually. I live like 2.5 hours drive away from Bollnäs, so I'm quite far from Bollnäs.
Okay, I was just saying to Kenny earlier on, Ulrich. I'm very good friends with Tad Rose. I've known Krista for many years. I don't know if you're
All
familiar
right.
with the guys from Tad Rose.
No, I don't know them. I just, I know who they are, but I don't know them personally. No, no. But no, I live on the west coast of Sweden, so I have like 6 hours drive to Bollnäs. In between Oslo and Gothenburg, I live. So
Oh
just
wow.
I have the sea just 300 meters from my house. So so no.
He's like 12 hours away from me, so we're that far away from each other.
So where do you guys rehearse?
Well, that's our next step. Start rehearsing in some way. We haven't really rehearsed yet. We just make the songs in the studio, and we send files to each other's. And I send my guitar files to the drummer, and he records his drums and send them back to me. and I send, like guitars and drums to the bass player, and that's the way we work. Although all the members in the band are such great live performers, so that's the. I mean, lack of rehearsing is the smallest problem, actually. I believe we've been around for 20 years, I think, as touring musicians. Wouldn't you say that, Ulrich? Around 20, 25 years.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So, but we're gonna start to rehearse now. The plan is to get together in maybe September or October or so, and start preparing for some eventually upcoming live shows.
Okay, then. So I'm going to ask you, sir, who are the band's influences for Starchaser?
Oh, yeah. Where to begin? I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I kind of old school. I'm a huge Black Sabbath fan. With all the singers from the beginning, with Ozzy and Dio, of course, and Tony Martin, Gillan, all Glenn Hughes. I mean, that's a huge inspiration for me. But there are other bands as well. I mean, Queensryche, for example, is a huge inspiration as well. But there's so many bands, so many good bands out there, and so it's really hard to just mention a few. But I mean, there are so many.
Okay, what about you, Kenny? What's your influences?
Well, it's very similar, and I think that's the reason why we think music so alike. When we write songs, we kind of I do some guitar riffs, and Ulrich knows exactly how I was thinking, and I think that's because we have the same kind of influences. I listened to a lot to Deep Purple and stuff like that when I grew up, and all the singers you mentioned as well. I love Steve Morse. When I got a bit older, I started to listen a lot to composers, and I listened a lot to Philip Glass and Max Richter, James Newton Howard, and those guys. They're very good composers and make film music for movies, filmmakers. So, I mean, I compose. I do a lot of piano work. So all of the Starchaser songs are pretty much composed on piano. I play piano as well, so I listen a lot to piano players.
Okay, then. So, what was the very first band you was in, Kenny? I'm going to ask the same question for Ulrich as well. So, what was the very first band you were in?
I think there was a punk band back in the days. Like one chord, and we screamed a lot, and we just got a kick from high voltage, and I can't even remember the name. My first real band that was making albums was probably a band called The Citadel. I made my first proper album with The Citadel, and that was back in 2006, I believe.
Okay, so what style of music was that? Which record label released it?
It was that first album was released by GMR Music, and the album was called A Passage to Eternity. The music is quite similar to Starchaser, but more of a bit more doom kind of thing.
There seems to be a big thing with Swedish music. It always seems the metal seems to be all doom orientated.
yeah. But Tamara Rose was also very doom orientated.
Yeah, true. That kind of reminded me of Tamara Rose. Kind of reminded me of Black Sabbath meets Sabotage.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. It's probably, I mean, because we live in the north of Sweden, it's dark and cold, and so it suits us very, very, very well. That doomy kind of music. I love doom. I love Candlemass.
All right then, Eric. So, Ulrich, what's your influence? I mean, what band was you first in before going professional?
Yeah, as a bass player, I started to record some demos. We didn't get any record deal with a band called Astral Sky, but my first band that I did, my first recording as a singer was the Gothenburg band M.illion in 2001. I believe the first album was Detonator.
Yeah, I reviewed that for you back in the day.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it was a long time ago. I don't even remember the name of the song. No, I do. But that was quite a new experience for me. But it went out pretty well, I think.
I mean, you guys were quite successful, weren't you, back in the day? Quite well
Yeah.
known.
Yeah, we went out on the road several times, supporting Mikey Schenker, Magnum, Tony Martin from Sabbath. Yeah, did a lot of festivals and went around Europe, especially England. A lot of gigs in England, I remember. With Saxon and yeah. So that was I did that 15 years and 4 albums.
Okay then, so I'm going to ask you then, both of you, who are your influences? Kenny as a guitar player, Ulrich as a singer. Who are your influences, and how do they combine in the music you're playing?
As a guitar player, my biggest influence would probably be Steve Morse. I've been listening to Steve Morse since I've started to play guitar, and he's just amazing. And that's my main influence, I guess.
Are you going to audition for Deep Purple now he's leaving?
I don't think so. I'm totally filled up with Starchaser now. No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ulrich, who are your influences? Who's inspired you to become a singer? Obviously the Dio guys.
Yeah. Dio is a huge influence, but I mean, I loved Ozzy. I remember when I went up my older brother's room and I put on Sabbath by the Sabbath in '74 or whatever it was, and I was like blown away. That was, the riffs from Tony and the vocals from Ozzy is I still got goosebumps when I listen to it. And I think it's cool. I just listened to the new songs that he released, which I like a lot. So I'm looking forward to the new album with Ozzy. Then even and some other singers. We have the Norwegian TNT singer,
Tony Arnell.
Yeah, which I met and did some gig with some back in the days as well, and he's a really good guy, and I admire his so good the voice and the range and how he uses his voice is incredible. But when you look at it, I think Dio is Ronnie James is one of with so much heart into it, so it's and I don't think it's going to be anyone like him again walking this earth. But Jon Lander is a good one, I think, as well. He's a really, really good singer and a good guy as well. I met him a couple of times and love his music. So I like him. And David Coverdale, there's so many. It's different days, different singers.
Yeah. What about people like Rob Halford? Is he an inspiration to you?
Oh yeah, Rob Halford. Yeah. Judas Priest. I remember the first album I bought was Stained Class. No, Machine. What's that?
Killing Machine.
Kill Machine. Yeah, that one. And I remember the same thing with that. I was like, what the hell is this? So, and I'm a bit huge Priest fan as well, and he's an amazing singer and still is. I mean, he's 70 or 1 or whatever, and still can do those songs. That's very impressive. I don't think I'm gonna do my songs when I'm 70, but you never know.
I mean, my favourite band's Judas Priest, so I'm going to ask you, both of you, which is your favourite Judas Priest album, see if we've got the same album.
Okay. I it probably will be British Steel. Because that was, I remember when it came and I bought it and I was like playing it on and on and on. Yeah, that was Screaming for Vengeance, maybe. You know,
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same. That's the most iconic album, I think, of all time. It made a huge impact on me when I heard it the first time. So,
For me,
but I will,
it's Screaming for Vengeance.
It is
All the way.
okay. Yeah.
Favorite
Yeah.
song of all time is Bloodstone.
yeah.
Oh, it's a very good song. Yeah, it's a very good song. Yeah.
Okay, so next question I'm going to ask you is, I mean, just before we talk about the album, Kenny, I mean, how many albums did you do with Tad Moroz, and which one out of the albums you did was your favourite? Did you have a favourite with Tad Moroz?
Yeah, I did 3 albums with Tad Moroz: Revenant, Saint Demonius, and Chapter X. And Chapter X is probably the best of the 3 albums, in my opinion. I think we kind of, we developed together as a unit. And when we were recording the Chapter X album, we had done some touring together, and we were very, played together and solid as a unit. So it came out. It really, that's one of the best albums I've been a part of.
Okay, then great. So, Ulrich, for you, with M.illion, what's your favourite M.illion album and why?
I don't know. King Size is, I think, is a really good album with really a lot of strong songs. Yeah, I would probably say that King Size. I think.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the album then, Starchaser. So, how did you guys get together, and why did you decide to call the band Starchaser?
First of all, when I jumped out of Tad Moroz, I was having like a guitar vacation. I did not touch an instrument for like 6 months or so, and I started to play the piano after a while, and the songs just came naturally. I wrote, I think we had like 19 songs or something that was written on the piano. And it was actually meant to be like solo album. My first thought of the songs was to keep them instrumental and just play guitar all over the place. But I spoke to Ulrich. We had been talking about doing something together for several years, and this was kind of just the moment to do that. He wasn't in M.illion anymore, and I wasn't in the band, so I sent him a couple of songs. We started to write the lyrics, and he made some fantastic melodies, and that's how it started. So I kind of changed my view at that point, and we decided to try and do it as a band thing. And that's how we created Starchaser, basically.
Was that the first name that you had for the band?
No, not really.
No,
no, we had a lot of names coming up, but it's it's really hard to get a name that you like, that sounds okay, and I don't know. I can't really remember where the idea came from. I can't remember if it was the old Syria. I don't know. That cartoon Space Syria. Do you know that?
Oh, I know the one. Oh God. No, I don't actually. No, I'm thinking of something else. but I was gonna say to you the name. It kind of reminds me of Tony Arnell. Like you mentioned that Starbreaker. I heard a band called Starbreaker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Starbreaker. Yeah.
I think we had like a couple of ideas, around Starchaser, Starbreaker, Star, blah blah blah, Star, blah blah blah. But we agreed on Starchaser after all. We had a lot of goofy names before that, but Starchaser was, I think, the first idea that was, serious. So
okay. So can you tell me a little bit about the lineup? Where did you find the rest of the guys for people that are watching this?
That's Kenny's connections all over the place. But
Yeah.
yeah, tell you.
All of the members are, people that I learned to know throughout touring and my musical adventures in the past time. So actually, I had this name for a drummer, Magnus Olsen from Eclipse, former Eclipse. He played bass with Eclipse, and I learned to know Magnus when I was playing guitar in Swedish band Torch. We played together in Torch. So I thought, well, he's a fucking brilliant drummer. So I really wanted him to do the Starchaser thing, and he agreed on that, and he really wanted to do it as well. But we kind of time schedules didn't work out quite as we had hoped for. So he got me in contact with Johan Kohlberg, and there was no problem. Johan just jumped in and did the drums. It went very smoothly. And I've been playing some blues stuff with the bass player M.illion earlier on, and he just digged the songs and he wanted to play bass, and he said yes. He was my first choice. Ulrich was my first choice. And I got some help from Nils Patrick Johansson from former Civil War Lion's Share, and he got me in contact with Kai Backlund, who plays all the keys on the album. So I had some help from them as well.
Okay,
so that's
then.
basic. And I mean, all the guys it's amazing guys, and I think that was the most important thing when I was gathering this crew. I needed people that were, good guys, nice to hang around with. I mean, we're supposed to have a laugh together. That's the whole idea.
I mean, if you're anything like Tad Moroz, you'll be drinking a lot.
Yeah, we drank a lot. Very lot.
The thing is that we actually met for the first time, the whole band, last year. So it's really, I mean, we worked with when did we start? 2.5 years ago?
I think so. 2.5.
Something like that. Yeah. So it was before last year that we met all together for the first time in we spoke like this now over video meetings, but just in really so that was kind of after almost 2 years, all of a sudden we met. Like strange. The funny thing is that it really felt, for me anyway, that didn't know these guys from I've seen and read about them, but I have never met them. For me, it was like I known them for my life. It was so easy to hang with and speak with, no problems at all. We were thinking a lot alike. So strange how it could how it could be, but it was really good guys.
So
and good musicians.
How would you describe your music then for people that haven't heard your music or trying to discover what you sound like?
Oh. Yeah, that's the one of the worst questions you can get, I think. Tell you how do I sound, or like who, or it's really hard to I don't know. It's for me, it's kind of a melodic metal, I would say, melodic metal.
Hard rock / metal, I think.
Oh yeah, hard rock / metal. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of melodies. There is elements of metal as well. And there's elements of some progressive stuff. It's very symphonic. I love the symphonic parts with Starchaser. That's the kind of idea from the beginning as well. Piano and strings and all that kind of shit. So I would say that.
And it's interesting. It's interesting because I'm from more of a hard rock school, maybe you could say, more than metal. But when I got the first demo songs from Kenneth, it was like, I was like just thinking like I always do when I do music. I just do my stuff, and it was interesting because it was the way he plays so much different in any bands I played before. So, but the mix, I really liked what it came out to be. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you about the album now then. So how long did it take to record the album, and was it done in several studios because of lockdown?
The recording process was quite smooth. It didn't take too much time to record it, but I mean, to get all the pieces together was more of a challenge because of the distances. But I used a studio, Nevo Studio in Sundsvall, and a very good friend of mine, Roger Burstyn, he's a producer and he owns the studio. So I could just take the material and go to that studio, and he mixed and mastered it. So, but it took about a year, I think, to get all the pieces together and make it sound, Starchaser.
So who writes all the music then? Is it you, Kenny, and you write all the lyrics for the band?
Yeah.
Yeah. Melodies is the vocal melodies and lyrics. It's on me.
So I'm going to ask you now, Ulrich, because like Kenny said, you can help me out with the next song. So, what are the songs about on the album? Briefly.
Yeah. I where do I get my inspiration? Yeah, it's like, of course, like so many other people, the things that happen in the world, and I'm really interested in history. So I read about history, European history, Swedish history, and find pieces in books where I think could use in a song. Some stuff are really happened, and some stuff is just made up that I wrote. But and some it's in some songs it's a little bit. I mean, I find the way is kind of personal, kind of more. I wouldn't say a love song, but it's about that in a way. So, but it's it could be politics as well. I mean, it's I can hear or read something somewhere, and then it stuck in my head, and then I had to start to write it down, and and then of course depending on how Kenneth's doing the music, because that it's not like Bringer of Evil, for example. It's about if you put all the evil into one being, that's what it's all about. And you couldn't put lyrics like singing about maybe I don't know, love song over that kind of riff. It wouldn't work. So I think it depends on but a lot of history, politics, of course, and things that happens around us, of course.
Okay then, so I'm going to ask you now, both of you, which ones are your favourite songs on the album? Which ones are your favourites?
I hardly can't remember them now. I think all of the song has special meanings, because when you write like music like I do, you do have some kind of psychological input in the moment when you're writing a chord progression. There's a feeling you get, and you kind of just write it. I would probably say it changes from every time I listen. Well, if I'm driving my car, I can actually play. I can listen to Bringer of Evil really loud, and I think, wow, it's a fucking heavy riff. I love this riff, and this is the most heavy riff I've ever done, and I dig it. I think that's the best song on the album. And next time I'm around driving, and I'm thinking of my kids or maybe my partner, and then I find a way it's the best song. So it kind of changes all the way. But I think the one thing that I'm very proud of is that the album actually has, let's say, 12 very good songs, or 13 songs. Very good songs.
So how did the deal with Frontier Records come about, and what other labels approached you?
we had a couple of label interests, and I'm a very good friend with Lena Graf at GMR Music, and she signed up as my management, basically. So she shopped the album out to different labels, and we said, well, let's go for the biggest labels first and work the way down. And Frontiers was very quick with responding, and I think we had 5 interests from different labels, but Frontiers was the one who felt like they had muscles, and they felt like the biggest one. So that's why we went with Frontiers.
Okay, are you happy? Are you happy with the label?
It's just in the beginning. I couldn't say, but they're very professional, and they have done a good job this far. Absolutely. I mean, for example, first single, Dead Man Walking reached like 80,000 views in just a couple of weeks. So that's a good thing, and that's a label thing. So.
Okay, so how many videos has the band done so far for the album?
2, and one proper video and 1 lyric video, and we're gonna release another lyric video. I think next week or maybe the week after.
Okay, then great.
Made by Ronnie M.illion, by the way. he made that video. So
excellent. So how well is the album selling for you so far?
I know the pre-orders were great, better than I was expecting. I'm not going to sit and say any number, but it was a great pre-order sale before the album was released. I don't know how many albums we've been selling this far, but we're probably going to know pretty soon.
Right, brilliant. Oh, well, I'd like to thank both of you for doing this interview. I wish you all the best. Hopefully we'll meet one day. So do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
Please come. I mean, we had a great support this far, and people seem to like the album. I'm glad for that. Keep helping us share this, YouTube links and stuff like that, and yeah, keep on supporting us. And thanks so much.
Okay, and you as well, Eric. What do you have? You have anything to say, people?
Absolutely. I mean, the reviews from everyone doing reviews, but the listeners as well have been overwhelming, and I'm so proud of the album and the guys who I made this album with, and wouldn't be a chance if we didn't have you as listeners doing it and liking what we do. So I hope to see you soon out on the road, and we have started to work on the second album, so hopefully next year we're going to release the next one.
So how is that going to sound from the first album? How different is it going to be just before we finish?
That we don't know yet, but I think you're gonna recognize some of the mode, the feeling of the first album as well. But now we learned how we work together, and so it could be some changes, but I don't think there's going to be big changes in that way. Yeah.
Brilliant. So I hope you like the album review I did for you. Hope you've seen it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Appreciate that.
So thank you guys. Be safe and keep in touch and enjoy your evening. Stay metal.
Yeah.
You too. Yeah, you
Cheers.
too.
Thank you.